My name is Amelia, and I'm 33 years old. My world revolves around my beautiful 6-year-old daughter, Chloe. It's been mostly just the two of us since my divorce from Ethan 2 years ago, and I've been raising her on my own. My former mother-in-law, Eleanor, has always insisted on remaining a part of Chloe's life, something I reluctantly allowed despite our perpetually strained relationship. Last weekend was the first time I ever agreed to let Chloe stay overnight at Eleanor's house. The knot of dread in my stomach as I dropped her off was nothing compared to the sheer terror that washed over me when I picked her up the next morning. If you're listening to this, please hit like and subscribe, and I'd love to know where you're tuning in from. Stick around until the very end, because I need to tell you how a single, whispered confession from my daughter shattered our lives and changed everything forever. I've always poured my heart into being a good mother for Chloe, a devotion that's probably deepened by my job. For the past 8 years, I've worked as a pediatric nurse at City General Children's Hospital. Day in and day out, I witnessed the incredible resilience of children, but also their profound fragility. That perspective made me fiercely protective of my own daughter, which became a significant source of friction in my marriage. I met Ethan during my last year of nursing school. He was magnetic, driven, and a rising star as a management consultant at a top-tier firm. Our romance was a whirlwind, and in less than a year, we were married in an intimate ceremony with our closest friends and family. Eleanor was the only parent there. Ethan's father had passed from a heart attack while he was in college, and a car accident had tragically taken both of my parents when I was just 20. In the beginning, Eleanor seemed to be on my side. She's a tall, impeccably put-together woman in her early 60s, with perfectly coiffed silver hair and a collection of designer outfits that look like they've never seen a wrinkle. She lives by herself in a sprawling, colonial-style home in Oak Knoll, an affluent suburb about 30 minutes from our place. Her world seemed to consist of her church, her gardening club, and above all else, her only son, Ethan. The first signs of trouble appeared when I got pregnant with Chloe. Eleanor had very rigid opinions on how I should conduct myself, what I should eat, how I should rest, even how I was supposed to talk to my unborn baby. When I didn't follow her unsolicited advice to the letter, she'd make these passive-aggressive remarks about my fitness for motherhood. It got so much worse after Chloe was born. Ethan started working even longer hours, leaving me to handle a newborn alone with Eleanor's frequent, unannounced visits. She would survey our apartment with a critical eye, offering a constant stream of thinly veiled criticisms disguised as helpful tips on everything from how I was holding Chloe to the brand of diapers I used. By the time Chloe turned 4, my marriage was in shambles. Ethan had grown cold and critical, spending more and more nights working late. When I finally found undeniable proof he was having an affair with a colleague, I filed for divorce. The legal process was surprisingly swift. Ethan put up almost no fight for primary custody of Chloe. He agreed to the standard arrangement of every other weekend and Wednesday night dinners. Eleanor, however, did not handle the divorce with any grace. She bombarded me with calls, swinging wildly between begging me to take Ethan back and accusing me of single-handedly ruining her son's life. Eventually, for Chloe's sake, we managed to broker a fragile truce. Eleanor would see Chloe during some of Ethan's designated visitation times and would sometimes take her for an afternoon on a weekend. These visits always left me on edge. Chloe would come home making odd comments about what proper young ladies do or how mommy's rules don't apply at grandma's house. Still, I tried to preserve the connection. Chloe adored her grandmother, and I genuinely believed that family ties were important for her. So I learned to ignore the red flags, the way Eleanor would whisper things to Chloe that my daughter would refuse to repeat, the subtle jabs at my parenting that were always framed as loving suggestions, the little gifts that always seemed to come with strings attached. When Ethan called to tell me he had a last-minute business trip and would have to miss his weekend with Chloe, Eleanor immediately jumped in and offered to take her. It was going to be the first ever overnight stay, and despite a tidal wave of reservations, I agreed. I told myself I was being paranoid, that it was just one night and it would be fine. The day before the visit, I met my best friend Sarah for coffee during my lunch break. "I know I'm probably overthinking this," I said, my hand trembling as I stirred my latte, "but something about Eleanor has always felt so off." Sarah, who's known me since college and had her own share of uncomfortable encounters with Eleanor, nodded with a serious expression. "Trust your gut, Amelia, always. But also, it's just one night. Keep your phone on and call to check in before her bedtime. You'll feel better." That evening, I painstakingly packed Chloe's little unicorn-themed overnight bag. I included her favorite soft pajamas, her well-loved stuffed bear named Barnaby, her special light-up toothbrush, and the picture book we read together every single night. I wrote down her entire bedtime routine, her allergy to strawberries, and all the emergency contact numbers, even though I knew Eleanor already had this information. When we pulled up to Eleanor's house the next day, I was once again struck by how cold and museum-like it felt. The furniture was all expensive and formal, with cream-colored sofas still wrapped in protective plastic and glass-top tables with dangerously sharp corners. There wasn't a single toy in sight, even though Eleanor had promised she had activities planned. "We'll be perfectly fine," Eleanor said, her tone clipped and dismissive as she all but herded me toward the door. "I did raise a son, you know. I think I can manage one little girl for a single night." Chloe clung to me, hugging my legs tightly before I left. "Bye, Mommy. Grandma says we're going to have a special secret Grandma Day." That phrase sent a cold spike of anxiety through my chest, but Eleanor quickly cut in. "Oh, just some girl time. We'll bake cookies and watch some princess movies. Nothing for you to worry about, Amelia." That evening, alone in my quiet apartment, felt deeply unsettling. I tried to relax, to enjoy the rare silence by picking up a novel I'd been meaning to read for months and taking a long, hot bath. But my eyes kept darting to my phone, waiting for it to light up. At 7:30, I called to say goodnight. Eleanor answered, her voice dripping with annoyance. "She's a bit busy at the moment, Amelia. We're in the middle of something important. I just want to say goodnight," I insisted, my own voice firm. After a long, tense pause, Chloe came to the phone. Her voice was tiny and subdued, a world away from her usual cheerful chatter. "Hi, Mommy," she said quietly. "Are you having fun, sweetie?" I asked, trying to sound bright. "Yes," she replied, but there was no enthusiasm behind it. "Grandma says I need to go now. Good night." The line went dead, leaving me staring at my phone, a profound sense of dread solidifying in my gut. I tried to rationalize it, telling myself she was probably just exhausted from a day of excitement, but I couldn't shake the feeling. I set my alarm for the crack of dawn, determined to get her back first thing in the morning. I showed up at Eleanor's house at 8:30 the next morning, a full 2 hours before our agreed-upon pickup time. I had to ring the doorbell 3 times before Eleanor finally answered, her hair still in rollers, her face flushed with irritation. "Amelia, we said 10:30, she snapped, physically blocking the doorway. "Chloe and I are in the middle of breakfast. My shift ended early and I thought I'd save you the trouble," I lied, trying to peek around her into the house. "Is Chloe ready to go?" Eleanor's lips pressed into a thin, hard line. "She is not. You'll have to wait." Just then, I heard Chloe's small voice call out, "Mommy." A moment later, she appeared behind Eleanor, her face pale, her eyes wide and downcast. Her usual morning energy was gone and her happy chatter was completely absent. "Did you have a fun time with Grandma?" I asked gently as we walked to the car. Chloe just gave a slight, silent nod, her gaze fixed on the pavement. Once we were buckled into the car and pulling away from Eleanor's pristine neighborhood, I tried again. "So, what did you two do yesterday? Did you bake cookies like Grandma said?" Chloe just fidgeted with the strap of her seatbelt. "Can we just go home, Mommy? I'm tired." The drive home was eerily quiet. Normally, Chloe was a fountain of nonstop commentary, pointing out dogs, asking a million questions, and narrating everything she saw. Today, she just stared blankly out the window, occasionally glancing back toward Eleanor's street, as if to make sure we were really getting away. When we got back to our apartment, she went straight to her room, pulled Barnaby the bear from her bag, and clutched him tightly to her chest. I followed her, my concern mounting with every silent second. "Sweetheart, did something happen at Grandma's house?" I asked, sitting beside her on her bed with its pink and purple butterfly comforter. "You know you can tell me anything, right?" Chloe looked up at me, her blue eyes huge and filled with uncertainty. Then she leaned in close, her voice dropping to a whisper so faint I had to strain to hear. "Mommy, Grandma said I should never tell you what I saw." My heart started hammering against my ribs, but I forced my face to remain calm and open. "You can always tell me anything, Chloe, no matter what anyone else says." "What was it you saw at Grandma's house?" Chloe glanced nervously toward her bedroom door, as if she expected Eleanor to materialize in the hallway. "Grandma had a man come over. After you called," she whispered. "She told me he was a special friend, a friend who helps take bad mommies away from their little girls." A glacial chill ran down my spine, but I kept my voice even. "What did she mean by bad mommies, sweetie?" Chloe's voice trembled. "Grandma says you're a bad mommy because you took Daddy away and you don't let me do what I want. She showed the man pictures of you and me, pictures I've never seen before. Some were from my school, and you weren't there." My hands started to shake. I casually reached into my pocket, my fingers fumbling to turn on my phone's voice recorder without Chloe noticing. "Did you hear what they talked about? This man and Grandma?" Chloe nodded, hugging Barnaby even tighter. "They talked about a judge and papers and about how they were going to make me live with Grandma and Daddy instead of you. Grandma said soon I wouldn't have to follow your silly rules anymore. Was there anything else, Chloe? Anything at all that seemed strange or scary?" She hesitated, then her whisper became even softer. "Grandma has a room in her basement with a big lock on the outside of the door. She showed it to me. She said it was my special room for when I come to live with her. It has a bed and some toys, but there are no windows. I told her I didn't want to sleep there, and she got really, really mad. My blood ran cold. Did she make you sleep in that room last night?" Chloe shook her head. "Number. But she said next time I might have to, if I didn't start being a good girl and keeping our secrets. Mommy, I don't want to go back to Grandma's house. She scares me." I pulled Chloe into a fierce hug, my mind a whirlwind of terror and white-hot fury. "You did the absolute right thing by telling me, Chloe. You are never going back there, I promise. And you are never, ever in trouble for telling me the truth." "Grandma said you would say that," Chloe whispered against my shoulder. "She said all bad mommies pretend to be nice until they get what they want." I held my daughter tighter, feeling her small body tremble against mine. In that instant, I knew with chilling certainty that Eleanor was plotting something monstrous, and I had to protect my daughter, no matter the cost. "Listen to me, Chloe," I said firmly, pulling back to look her in the eyes. "You are safe now. I am going to make sure no one ever tries to take you away from me. You did nothing wrong. This is all grown-up stuff that you should not have to worry about." As Chloe nodded, wiping her tears with the back of her hand, I made a silent vow that Eleanor would never get near my daughter again. What I didn't know yet was just how far my mother-in-law had already gone in her scheme to take Chloe from me, or how terrifying the situation was about to become. After I got Chloe settled with her favorite cartoon and a snack, I retreated to the bathroom, locked the door, and listened to the recording I'd made. Hearing Chloe's tiny, frightened voice detail Eleanor's actions made my hands shake with a potent mix of fear and rage. This wasn't about difficult family dynamics or clashing parenting styles anymore. This was a direct threat to my child's safety and our entire life together. My first instinct was to call the police, but what did I really have? The word of a 6-year-old against a respected woman in the community. I needed more. I called Sarah, keeping my voice to a whisper. I need your help, I said, skipping any preamble. Something happened at Eleanor's. It's bad, really bad. Sarah listened patiently as I recounted everything Chloe had told me. She didn't express a single doubt. You need proof, Amelia, she said decisively. If Eleanor is really planning something this crazy, she's left a trail. Social media posts, emails, something to back up what Chloe is saying, and you should talk to Ethan's sister, Olivia. She and Eleanor never got along, right? She might know something. After we hung up, I opened my laptop and started digging. Eleanor's Facebook profile was mostly private, but I could see her public group memberships. One immediately stood out, Family First Advocates. The group's description spoke of rescuing children from unfit parents and waging spiritual warfare against the enemies of traditional family values. A few of Eleanor's public posts were filled with vague but chilling statements about saving my granddaughter from negative influences and preparing for a divine intervention. In one photo from 3 months prior, she was standing outside a family court building with the caption, "Researching options for the future. God will provide a way." My hands trembling, I sent a text to Olivia, Ethan's younger sister who lived a few states away. We'd always been on friendly terms, though we rarely spoke after the divorce. "Hi, Olivia. Hope you're doing okay. I need to ask you something important about your mom. It's about Chloe's safety. Can you call me when you have a minute?" She called back within 5 minutes, her voice tight with concern. "What happened? Is Chloe all right?" I gave her the short version of what Chloe had revealed. A long, heavy silence stretched across the line before Olivia finally spoke. "I was afraid of this. My mother has always been unstable when it comes to the children in our family. Did Ethan ever tell you what happened with my son, Leo, when he was 4? "No," I said, my stomach twisting. "What happened?" Olivia sighed. "Leo stayed with her for a weekend while my husband and I were at a conference. When we picked him up, he was terrified of her. He eventually told us she'd been telling him that his parents were going to hell because we don't attend her church, and that she was going to save him by having him come live with her. She had even shown him a room she'd set up for him. My God," I breathed. "What did you do?" "We confronted her. She denied everything, of course. Said Leo was just making things up for attention, and Ethan defended her, but we never let Leo stay with her alone again. She then started telling everyone in the family that I was mentally unstable and was turning my son against her." "Amelia," Olivia's voice grew serious. "You have to understand, my mother truly believes she's doing the right thing. In her mind, she is saving Chloe, not harming her. That's what makes her so dangerous. Has she ever tried to take legal action against you? No, but I moved 2,000 miles away within a year. Distance was my defense. You don't have that luxury. And there's something else. My mother has been posting in private family groups about you for months. She's building a narrative that you're an unfit mother who works too much and exposes Chloe to dangerous situations. That's insane. I'm a pediatric nurse. I know, but she twists everything. Your long shifts become neglect. Your friends become bad influences. She's been planning this for a long time." After that call, I checked Chloe's tablet. There, buried in a game app that allowed messaging between approved contacts, I found it. A long series of messages from Eleanor sent over months. She'd been asking seemingly innocent questions. What time does Mommy get home from work? Does Mommy have friends over late at night? What do you eat for dinner when Mommy is tired? And then there were the more sinister messages. Soon you will live in a proper home with proper rules, and grandmas know best what little girls need. I sat down with Chloe again, asking her about this game. "Grandma likes to play pretend that I live with her," Chloe explained, looking uncomfortable. She asks me questions and writes my answers in her special notebook. "What kind of questions, sweetie? Like, if you ever leave me alone? Or if I'm ever hungry?" She told me to tell her if you ever have men come over or if you drink those special adult drinks that make people silly. Chloe looked confused. I told her you only have Sarah and other ladies from the hospital visit, and you just drink coffee and water. She seemed mad about that. I felt sick. Eleanor had been interrogating my daughter, fishing for anything she could twist against me. The man who visited yesterday, can you describe him for me? Chloe thought hard. He was tall. He had gray hair on the sides, but not on top, and glasses. He had a blue jacket with patches on the elbows. He carried a big camera and showed Grandma pictures of our house and your car at the hospital. It had to be a private investigator. Eleanor wasn't just making idle threats. She was actively building a case to take my daughter. The realization hit me like a physical blow. This woman, who I had tolerated in our lives for Chloe's sake, was systematically plotting to rip our family apart. Chloe, did you see any papers? Did they talk about court? She nodded. The man gave Grandma a folder. She showed him my special room and said it was almost ready for when I come live with her for good. She said the judge would understand that a little girl needs her grandmother and daddy more than a mommy who works all the time. My throat tightened. Eleanor was preparing to file for custody, probably with Ethan. I had to act, and fast. That afternoon, after making sure Chloe was safely playing at Sarah's house, I drove to Oak Knoll. I had called Eleanor multiple times with no answer. This had to be done face to face. Her silver Lexus was in the driveway. I knocked firmly on the door, my heart pounding in my ears. After a long minute, the door creaked open, and Eleanor peered out, her expression shifting from annoyance to a mask of false concern. Amelia, what a surprise. Is everything all right with Chloe? Her voice was syrupy sweet, but her eyes were like ice. We need to talk, Eleanor. Now. She hesitated, then opened the door wider. I suppose you can come in. I was just leaving for my church group. I followed her into the immaculate living room, but refused her offer to sit. I know what you're doing. Chloe told me everything. The pleasant facade shattered. Her face hardened into a defensive glare. Children have wild imaginations. Whatever she told you, she misunderstood. She misunderstood a private investigator taking pictures of us. She misunderstood you telling her she'd be coming to live with you. She misunderstood the locked room in your basement. My voice rose, despite my efforts to stay calm. Eleanor's lips thinned. You have always been paranoid, Amelia. This is precisely why Chloe deserves a better mother. So you admit it, I said, pulling out my phone. You're trying to take my daughter. I am trying to save her, she shot back, her voice rising sharply. You stole my son, poisoned him against his own family, and now you're raising my granddaughter without proper values. You work ridiculous hours. You expose her to your godless lifestyle. Someone has to protect that child. The only person Chloe needs protection from is you, I replied, my voice shaking. You are manipulating a 6-year-old and trying to turn her against her own mother. That ends now. Eleanor laughed, a cold, humorless sound. You can't stop what's already in motion. I have documented your negligence for months. The courts will see what I see. And what, exactly, have you documented? Her eyes gleamed with self-righteous certainty. A single mother who prioritizes her career over her child, who has questionable characters coming and going at all hours. I have witness statements from neighbors. I've documented every time Ethan has had to change his schedule because of your work emergencies. I'm a nurse, I said through gritted teeth. Emergencies happen. That doesn't make me an unfit mother. The judge will decide that, she replied smugly, and Ethan is finally starting to see reason. Once he has primary custody, Chloe will have the stable home she deserves, with me there to provide proper maternal guidance. My blood ran cold. Ethan is part of this? A flicker of something, uncertainty, crossed her face. He will be. Once he sees the evidence, he will support what's best for his daughter. I stepped closer. Show me this evidence. Show me these statements you claim to have. For a second, she looked cornered, but then her chin lifted. I don't have to show you anything. You'll see it all in court. Where's the room, Eleanor? I demanded. The one in the basement. with the lock on the outside. Her eyes darted toward a door off the hall. That is just a quiet space for when Chloe visits. I didn't ask for permission. I strode to the door and pulled it open, ignoring her protests as I descended the carpeted stairs. The finished basement had a large entertainment area, but a hallway led to other rooms. One door was closed, with a heavy sliding bolt lock mounted on the outside, exactly as Chloe had described. I slid the bolt and pushed the door open. Inside was a child's bedroom, decorated in pink and white, with a small bed, a dresser, and a toy chest. The walls were covered in framed photos of Chloe, many of which I'd never seen and were clearly taken from a distance, without my knowledge. On the dresser sat a stack of new children's clothes, tags still attached, all in Chloe's exact size. "This is not normal, Eleanor," I said, my voice trembling as I turned to face her at the bottom of the stairs. "This is the room of a woman planning to kidnap her granddaughter. Don't be so dramatic," she snapped, though she looked rattled. "It's a guest room. With a lock on the outside? With surveillance photos? This is a prison." I moved to a desk in the corner and saw an open folder. Inside were legal documents, a draft petition for emergency custody, filled with fabricated accusations about my parenting. As I flipped through the pages, the doorbell rang upstairs. Eleanor's expression morphed into one of smug satisfaction. "That will be Mr. Davis," she said. "Right on time for our meeting." "The private investigator?" I asked, clutching the folder. "You might as well meet him," she said, turning for the stairs. "He's certainly gotten to know you." I followed her upstairs, my mind racing. The man in the foyer matched Chloe's description perfectly. He looked shocked to see me there. "Mrs. Miller," he said awkwardly, glancing between Eleanor and me. "I wasn't expecting—" "This is my former daughter-in-law," Eleanor said coldly. "She's been snooping through my private property." "Perhaps I should come back another time," Mr. Davis said, shifting uncomfortably. "No, please stay," I said, stepping forward with the folder still in my hand. "I'd love to hear about the surveillance you've been conducting on me and my minor child without my consent. I'm sure the state licensing board would be interested as well." His face went pale. Mrs. Miller assured me this was a standard custody investigation with the father's consent. "My ex-husband has no idea what she's doing," I replied, "and there is nothing standard about preparing a locked room for a child you intend to take from her mother." Mr. Davis turned to Eleanor, his expression now wary. "You told me this was a routine case. You said nothing about locked rooms." Eleanor's face flushed with fury. "Don't listen to her lies. She is an unfit mother." "I am a pediatric nurse," I said calmly to Mr. Davis. "My daughter is happy, healthy, and was well-adjusted until her grandmother began terrifying her." "I think I should go," he said, and then quickly left, leaving Eleanor trembling with rage. "Look what you've done," she screamed. "You ruin everything. You did this to yourself," I said, heading for the door. "Stay away from us, Eleanor. Don't call. Don't visit. If you try to contact Chloe again, I will get a restraining order." Her eyes narrowed. "This is not over, Amelia. God has entrusted me with saving that child, and I will not fail him. One way or another, I will make sure Chloe is raised properly, with or without the court's help." The threat hung in the air, chilling me to the bone. I left, locking my car doors the second I got inside. As I drove away, I saw her in the doorway, watching me with cold, unwavering determination. That night, the texts started. "You can't keep her from her real family forever. Drastic measures are sometimes necessary to protect the innocent." The last one made my blood run cold. "If you will not see reason, I will have to take matters into my own hands. Chloe deserves to be saved." I took screenshots of everything. This had become a kidnapping threat. The next morning, I told Chloe's school that only I was authorized to pick her up, no exceptions. That afternoon, Eleanor showed up at the hospital, causing a scene in the lobby, shouting that I was an unfit mother until security escorted her out. That was it. I had to go to the police. At the station, I met with Officer Rachel Torres, who specialized in family disputes. I laid out everything. The screenshots, the voice recording of Chloe, and the photos I'd taken of the locked room. "This is very concerning," she said, her expression serious. "The combination of the surveillance, the locked room, and the escalating threats suggests she may pose a genuine threat to your daughter. We filed for a temporary restraining order, which was granted the same day, but a piece of paper couldn't stop her." The very next day, the school called. Eleanor had tried to pick Chloe up, claiming a family emergency. They refused and called security. She was becoming more unhinged. She started emailing my coworkers and Chloe's school, spreading lies that I was unstable. When I found out she'd been following me, I finally called Ethan. He agreed to meet. His skepticism vanished as I showed him the evidence. His face went white when I played the recording of Chloe's voice. "I had no idea," he said, his voice hollow. "I swear, Amelia, I knew nothing about any of this. I would never support taking Chloe from you." "Your mother seems to think you will," I replied flatly. With Ethan now on my side, we met with Officer Torres together. His testimony about his mother's lifelong controlling behavior added significant weight to our case. Officer Torres then revealed her own findings. Eleanor had created fake social media profiles in my name, posting content designed to make me look like a drunk, neglectful mother. It was a sophisticated campaign to discredit me. The breaking point came a few days later. I was checking Chloe's backpack and found that her beloved Barnaby the bear had been replaced with an identical one. Remembering Chloe had taken Barnaby to Eleanor's, I carefully examined the new bear and found a small electronic listening device sewn into the stuffing. Eleanor had been spying on us in our own home. Worried sick about Chloe, I took her to a child psychologist, Susan Parker. After a few sessions, Susan confirmed my fears. "Your daughter has been subjected to psychological manipulation," she explained. "Her grandmother has been trying to alienate her from you while simultaneously terrifying her. Chloe is torn between her love for her grandmother and her fear of her." Armed with Susan's assessment, Ethan and I went to family court to request a permanent protection order. The judge scheduled an emergency hearing. The night before the hearing, I woke at 2 a.m. to the sound of someone trying to pick the lock on our apartment door. My heart leaped into my throat as I dialed 911, quietly checking that Chloe was still asleep. By the time police arrived minutes later, the person was gone, but they found scratch marks around the lock. 2 blocks away, they found a car matching Eleanor's Lexus. Inside, they found Eleanor herself, sitting in the driver's seat. With her was a bag containing sedatives, a forged passport for Chloe, and 2 one-way plane tickets to Canada for the following day. Eleanor was arrested on the spot. As they led her away, she screamed that she was saving Chloe from me, that God's law was higher than man's. The confrontation I had dreaded had finally happened, but not in a courtroom. Eleanor's own obsession had led to her downfall. Holding Chloe close that night, I felt a wave of relief so profound it almost brought me to my knees. It was over. She had been stopped. The days after Eleanor's arrest were a whirlwind of legal proceedings. She was charged with attempted kidnapping, stalking, violation of a restraining order, and more. The court ordered a psychiatric evaluation, which revealed she suffered from a delusional disorder with religious themes and narcissistic personality disorder. She genuinely believed she was on a mission from God. Ethan was devastated, consumed by guilt for having enabled her behavior for so many years. "I should have seen this," he told me, his voice choked with emotion. "I spent my whole life trying to keep the peace with her, and I let her threaten our daughter. The crisis forced us to rebuild our relationship, not as husband and wife, but as co-parents united in protecting our child." He attended every court date, every meeting. The family court granted a permanent no-contact order. In the criminal case, Eleanor was sentenced to 2 years in a secure psychiatric facility, to be followed by extensive probation. Leaving the courthouse after the final hearing, I felt a strange mix of relief and profound sadness. Chloe had lost a grandmother, and I had lost any hope of the peaceful family I once dreamed of. In the months that followed, we found our new normal. Chloe began therapy with a wonderful child psychologist, Susan, who used play therapy to help her process the trauma. Her nightmares slowly faded. Ethan and I developed a strong co-parenting partnership, a level of cooperation I never thought possible. We created new family traditions: Sunday pancake breakfasts, weekly library trips, monthly adventure days. I learned to trust my instincts. That unease I always felt around Eleanor wasn't paranoia, it was a warning. I joined a support group for parents dealing with toxic family dynamics and found I wasn't alone. It was healing. Ethan, through his own therapy, began to understand the patterns of his upbringing and became the father I always knew he could be. 6 months after the sentencing, life was quiet. Chloe was thriving in kindergarten. The fear that had been a constant companion was finally gone. One night, as I was tucking her in, she asked, "Mommy, are you glad you called the police about Grandma?" I chose my words carefully. I'm sad it had to happen that way. I wish Grandma had made better choices. But am I glad I did what was needed to keep you safe? Yes, absolutely. Keeping you safe is the most important job I will ever have. Chloe nodded, a look of simple understanding on her face. I'm glad too, she whispered before drifting off to sleep. Watching her sleep, peaceful and secure, I knew that despite the chaos, we had emerged stronger. We had faced the unimaginable, and we had won. If you have ever had to make a difficult choice to protect someone you love, please share your experience in the comments below. Have you ever had to trust your gut feeling even when everyone else doubted you? I would love to hear your stories. Please like this video if it resonated with you, subscribe for more real-life stories, and share it with someone who might need a reminder that protecting the ones we love sometimes requires incredible courage. Thank you for listening. And remember, your intuition is a gift, not a burden. Trust it. End of story.